Hi, welcome back to the channel. Now, people may realise this is probably the first time we've shot in the house since maybe October time. So why now? Well, it's the start of 2023. We've got new series starting already. Formula Regional Middle Eastern has started. Formula E has started again. There's already been one 24-hour race this year. But the reason we're talking about motor racing today is because it's the return of probably what has in recent years become my new season opener. The second biggest 24-hour race probably in the world after Le Mans. It's the Daytona 24 hour. So we're going to have a seat and have a chat. So Daytona then. We've got the 61st running of it this year, and there's 61 cars on the grid forming up act. So you've got the new GTP prototypes, which are like the same spec as the Le Mans cars, which is great going on in the future because the idea is that some could like then race Daytona and some could then race Le Mans, and you'd see more interaction between the various championships. I mean, it's telling looking at it this year, for example, there's 9 in the prototype category, which is the top category, and you've got like about 3 Cadillacs, which one of them's going to be racing a World Endurance Championship this year, which you wouldn't have been able to do in the past. There's 2 Porsches as well, which obviously some are going to be racing in World Endurance Championship as well. 2 Acuras, which are Hondas basically. Marshank Racing, Wayne Taylor Racing. So in American racing, they're big names. A couple of BMWs as well. I mean, some guys to look out for in that category. In the number 1 car alone, you've got Sebastian Bourdais, Renger van der Zande, and Scott Dixon, which is going to be tricky one to beat. But I mean, you've also got guys like Ricky Taylor, Felipe Albuquerque, Louis Delatraz, and Brendan Hartley in the number 10, which is a lineup. Personally, the one I'm looking forward to is 31 in the Action Express Cadillac, which is Pipo Derani, Alexander Sims, and Jack Aitken. I quite like that lineup. I do like that lineup a lot. And there's also guys like Tom Blomqvist kicking about. I mean, the LMP2 category, for example, you've got 10 cars in that. They're all Orica '07 Gibsons because, of course, they are. Um, but I mean, even in the second category down, you've got drivers like Esteban Gutierrez, Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin, Renus VK, very much sort of the IndyCar set. Oliver Jarvis, Raffaele Marcello, nice to see him in LMP2. Guido van der Garde, Pietro Fittipaldi, etc. That's not a shabby cast list. LMP3, there's 9 cars in that, but to be honest, that's probably not the category that anyone's going to be paying too much attention to. Um, if you like your GT cars, which most of us do, you've got 9 cars in the Daytona Pro category, which seems to be a slightly dying category because you haven't got a pro category at all in World Endurance Championship this year. But you've got cars from people like Corvette, Porsche 911, Lexus RCF, Aston Martin Vantages. Rissy Competitions bringing the new Ferrari 296 GT3, and they apparently appear to have borrowed most of the Ferrari hypercar drivers as well. You've got Iron Lynx who are not using Ferraris this year. They're now moving over to Lamborghinis, and Lamborghini's bid to be an ever increasing power in sports car racing, apparently. So they've got guys like Mirko Bortolotti, Andrea Calderoni, Roman Grosjean, and Jordan Pepper, and that's all in one car, I think, which is going to be it's a pretty solid lineup. Proton competition, they're racing under the WeatherTech racing banner. And for once, that would seem to be because they're not running Porsches. But I mean, they've still got guys like Jules Gounon, then Juncadella, and Maro Engel racing. So that's a pretty potent lineup in that category as well. GT Daytona, which is the Pro-Am class more. That's absolutely heaving with 24 cars in it. So you've got more BMWs, more Lexuses, more 911s, Lamborghini Hurricanes, more Ferraris with guys like Tony Vilander and Andrea Bertolini driving for them, which I'm well happy about. Uh, and I mean, Aston Martin, not to feel left out, they're bringing along guys like Marco Sorensen and Darren Turner and Nicky Team. So there's some real quality even in like the GT Daytona class. I think one of the Ferraris has got Antonio Fuoco on it, who's now established himself in like the Ferrari lineups in World Endurance Championship as well. So I mean, it's really solid. There's also going to be some Mercedes there. Outside of the Ferraris, I'll be cheering on the ex-Ferrari lineup of the Iron Dames 83 and, their Lambo, because, still Italian. I mean, I can wax lyrical about why I like Daytona. I mean, when I get to watch it, which it's a 24-hour race and I'm an adult and stuff has to be done, but I try and catch as much of it as I can, always want to know what's happening. Um, my wife loses the will to live whenever 24-hour race is on because she just despairs of the computer in the kitchen or me listening to it on the radio or on Radio Le Mans or all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, I could tell you why it's great, how BOP works, etc. But a couple of weeks ago, I was at Autosport International in Birmingham, the NEC, and one of the people there on stage was Darren Turner. So I'm going to let him tell you all about it instead, because naturally I recorded it.
Balance of performance is critical. It's one of those things that makes GT racing work. Because if you didn't have it, there'd be one car that's built for the road that would naturally be better in a race configuration. That's just how it is. So then everyone would go and race that car. So without balance of performance, it would be a poorer show for everyone. Now with balance of performance, I don't know how many years it's been around, like 15 years or something like that. It gives all the manufacturers a chance with their cars to bring them to the races and to be competitive. But there's a fight. That's the bit that obviously the bit you explained is there's always the manufacturers saying this isn't right, we need this to be quicker, to be fair. But as the years go on, that mechanism for getting the balance between each of the cars closer is getting more, I'd say technically it's getting closer, and the differential between having a weekend where you don't have the best VOP for the weekend or being the best is much smaller. It's now a tenth or two either way, especially in the World Endurance Championship. So as a driver, you can understand the frustrations for the technical team, the design team and everything else. They're fighting for their corner to give you the best opportunity. But yeah, at some stage you just got to put the helmet on and forget about it, because it can be a negative on you. My thing is that over the course of a championship, it probably will be fairly even. You will go to races when it's not in your favour and you've got the car that's on the back foot. But there'll be other races when it's definitely in your favour and you've got to take advantage of it. But the weekends when it's not in your favour, they're the more critical ones, because you've really got to make the most of that weekend, even though you're probably not got the same performance as a competitor. But we're talking like a tenth or two in places now, so it's my level of competition. The unique beauty of Daytona is the banking. As a circuit, it's completely different from what we would normally be racing on, especially if you're doing European racing or WEC or something like that. And the first time you go up on the banking, it's like, oh, this is proper steep, really, really steep. But I've always loved racing in America. They have a different sort of spirit to how they go racing in terms of how the organisers put the show on. It's there for, I wouldn't say it's there for entertainment, it's there for competition, but they know that they want to have a really strong, exciting finish, where you can have certain championships where the race can be done and dusted as soon as there's a safety car that just breaks up the race. We've had it in GTE at Le Mans a couple of times. Got unlucky where the safety car was basically giving one car a 2-minute advantage when it goes green again, and that's the race done basically. So in America, there's always a good chance that you could be 4 or 5 laps down, and with the wave buys and how many safety cars they throw, you know, until the last 4 hours, it's not over. If you're on the lead lap or a couple of laps down on the lead lap with 4 hours to go, you've still got a chance of being in the hunt in that last sort of hour to the checkered flag. So, you know, I really enjoy Daytona. I think it's one of the most fun 24-hour races. The level of competition is really good. The biggest thing about that race is how cold. You go into Florida and you think, oh, you know, Florida sun is going to be nice, but I think last year we were down on like 1 or 2 degrees during the night, yeah, it's the hardest thing because they don't have tire rules there in that championship because they're generally racing in nicer temperatures and better track conditions. You go out.
So that was what he had to say about it. Hopefully, it's piqued your interest if you haven't watched it before. If you have watched it before, I'm sure you're looking forward to it as well. Um, but thank you for watching, and bye bye for now.